Yeah, no, the video speaks for itself, and you'll find out who General McInerney was, and his connection to various people within the organisation. But this is illustrative of what senior people in the US, sober, measured, judicious people, understand as a result of their connections to exactly what is going on firsthand, rather than like us poor sods having to watch the news. Now, this guy's a man of unimpeachable reputation and position. He was the number 3 man in the Air Force before he retired. Stellar career, but you'll see that. But the point here is to understand this is someone who's been close to the game for a long time. And so let's let him speak for himself.
The what?
Nancy Pelosi's laptop. Is it with FBI today?
I wouldn't give it to the FBI.
Yeah, right. We don't trust that.
Ann's got pictures of it.
Okay.
And I didn't, I thought that was counter-information operations on us. But no, Ann, I've seen the laptop our special forces took out.
Okay.
That's why she's so frantic. Think about it. You only got, what, 12 days? The 20th day's the 8th, 12 days. Now let them go out. But they're calling, she calls the chairman of Joint Chiefs of Staff. The vice president misses the opportunity. And unfortunately, I believe the vice president's committed treason.
Now we're going to be listening to the full interview of General Thomas McInerney. But first, I wanted to show you all of his credentials, as his rank is a 3-star general, lieutenant general, 3rd Tactical Fighter Wing, and you can just read all of his credentials for yourself, and you can look at all these awards that he has got for serving in our U.S. military. This is no slouch of a man. This is a very highly decorated, respected man of our U.S. military. This is the full interview. Listen very closely.
The fact is COVID-19 was a biological attack on the world. It was the #1 impact the economies. Look at it. Look at this place. First time I've been here since COVID-19. It's an air raid. And so they've impacted our economies. #2, it was a direct attack on the election. And they knew what was going to happen. So obviously the Democrats, whether they're in a party or what, are in collusion with this. And what they initially started with Hong Kong, taking over Hong Kong, violating what the treaty was and all that. So they want, it's hybrid warfare, using cyber warfare and different tools, economics, a whole host of things, to change the world. And they have done it very effectively. Now, what we are all of a sudden realizing, because I didn't become involved with this till the 1st of November, when I found out that a program called Hammer and Scorecard were going to be used as a cyber weapons tool, cyber warfare tool, to take and change the voting. And it did. And I called Rudy and Sydney, and someone got me in touch with them and told them. So I learned on the 1st of November, Sunday. The 2nd, I was on Steve Bannon's show with Sydney as a co-host, saying what was going to happen. And on the 3rd, what happens? It's factual. And so now we have an unconstitutional government, and you don't even have to know what I know about the cyber warfare, because they violated their constitutions when they changed the rules. And let's examine those battleground states that they know that the fraudulent voting came in. And it always comes in late at night. And so what we found ourselves with, again, and I found it this Tuesday night, is they have taken control. They have taken control of our society. And we have one person, we just came from there in the White House, standing in the way. And it's gonna mean, and you don't fully realize it, but every one of us here, every American out there, is going to have to stand up. We read about it in history, we read about Normandy and all of that, but now we are in it. And so we must spread it. We cannot surrender. And the president said he wouldn't. You all know that that attack on the Capitol was done by Antifa, but it was enabled by McConnell, by Schumer, by Pelosi, and the mayor. They knew that was coming. You've all been up there. There were hardly any security police there, and they moved in, and Antifa did their thing, and then the media picked it up. I worked for Fox for almost 17 years. It's disgraceful what they're doing. And unfortunately, Rupert is driving that with his sons, and they have now merged with the rest of the mainstream media. This is serious. This is expanding. We cannot let it happen. We don't have 4 years. As Hong Kong has seen, we do not have time. Time is against us. And Ann and I were just talking to someone about the information that's being released that shows clearly in those battleground states the cyber warfare that was used. We also found out, I found out yesterday, that Comey, the former FBI director, sold the Hammer and Scorecard, this top secret program, to the Chinese. So you now have this top secret program that is like your iPhone. It gets in, it's called Hammer, it gets into the voting network, and then it has an application like on your iPhone. You have all those apps. It puts it on, and it modulates the voting so they win, not by a large number. And I got a call Tuesday night at 11:30 that the ISI from Pakistan was now in the voting machines in Georgia. I called someone, let them know. The two candidates, Loeffler and Perdue, were ahead. I watched. 1 hour later, they were behind. So now, I thought that they should stop it. I think their game plan is, no, let them do it. We have this evidence. We will present this evidence to the American people so we can judge. We don't need someone to tell us. We can tell when we have unconstitutional acts going on against us. And when you think about it, COVID-19, why are they trying to kill our small businesses and make everybody dependent upon the government? Democratic socialism is the front door to communism. And none of us ever thought that we would be in that position today where this country became a communist society. But think of what's happening now in Twitter and Facebook. They won't let the president be on it. They're censoring the president of the United States. This is amazing in our country that we would have ever thought this would happen. And that's why I was so disappointed in the vice president. He had the opportunity, because if we had a 10-day audit, it would be very clear to all of us, and all 323 million Americans, whatever the number is today, it would be very clear what has happened to our society. So God bless you. Let's keep fighting it. Let's support this president and the people like ourselves that understand what's happening in front of us. We shall not let it happen. We cannot let it happen.
Yeah.
There you go. So you've heard now a fairly comprehensive, one slightly over the top description of what General McInerney believes occurred. As I said, a man of unimpeachable character. Now,